right, thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We are free and wherever you get your podcast. John Garcia is here to talk a little bit of recruiting, and he comes by way of LinkedIn. I'd like to thank LinkedIn Jobs for being the official college football recruiting sponsor across the Locked On College Network. LinkedIn helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. John, welcome back to the show. How you doing today, man?
Doing well, Steven. Good to be back on with you. We know things are heating up for the Rebels, so a good time to check in. And obviously the season is right around the corner too. So everybody's pretty excited, and yours truly included.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. Recently, Ayden Williams just committed to Ole Miss. Talk a little bit what Ayden brings, and if you can, give us a comp to another Mississippi receiver that has come through in the past.
Ooh, that last part will be fun. But on the surface level, Ayden Williams is one of these classic outside wide receivers in this class of 2023. He's about 6'2", 6'2 and a half, relatively well filled out, 185, 190 right now or so, muscular build, but certainly has room to improve upon his frame. And there's a whole lot of completeness in his game. It's not the fastest, the twitchiest, or the most polished, but he's like right there in every category. He can absolutely run, track the football very, very well. I've seen him make in person dozens of contested catches. So he really apexes that football at a very high level. And again, pair that with his frame, and the catch radius here is really impressive from Ayden's perspective. But where I think he's made big strides, Steven, is as a route runner. You know, he used to be just a vertical guy, 9 routes, deep balls, back shoulders, just an athlete going down the field that you say, hey, go get it. But now over the last 12 months, we've seen him really start to put some route combinations together. He's stemming defenders. He's breaking well at the top of the route with good leverage, which is not easy to do at 6'2", 6'2 and a half. So we're seeing him polish up in that department. The footwork has looked really good. He's kind of a guy who just plays smaller than he is. He's quicker than you would expect a 6'2 wide receiver to be. And we see some polish come along the way here. His hands have gotten better as well. He would be the guy who a year ago would make the contested catch over 2 guys and then drop the slant, right? Just drop the easy money. But we're seeing him start to polish up and clean up a little bit more. The focus has improved, and everything's kind of just come along in a really nice way, to the point where I think he's going to be a phenomenal SEC wide receiver, whether you look at it from a statistical or volume perspective, or just from an athletic perspective and a chunk plays perspective. He's good after the catch. He's bringing some physicality and toughness to the position there as well, which is only going to improve as he gets bigger and stronger in an SEC strength and conditioning program. So clearly I'm a big fan of Ayden Williams overall. He's flashed early on, and he's developed beyond that over the last couple of years. And let me tell you, from a comp perspective, I see some Drummond in this kid's game. You know, it's not the flashiest thing, but you look up and it's 9 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. I think that is something we can expect to see with Ayden Williams. And I thought at times last year for the Rebels, Drummond looked like not only the best player at wide receiver, but the best player on the field for Ole Miss at times. It was almost like a quarterback where he had a rhythm to his game, and when he got hot, he was doing everything: sideline catches, after the catch stuff, winning against contested situations. He kind of became this complete wide receiver where it wasn't the flashiest thing in the world, but man, it was productive, it was reliable, and it was something that was a huge part of a 10-win regular season for Ole Miss. And I think Ayden Williams immediately can step in and do some of those very same things, especially considering he's got an entire year left of high school ball to continue to polish up. And if he stays on that trajectory, I think he's a guy who plays his way into the SI 99 rankings, and he's going to play his way onto early playing time at Ole Miss, the in-state program.
Yeah, and whenever I worked at Rivals and I'd go out and have to film all these prospects, one of the games that I like to play is I didn't want to know who the prospect was on the field.
Nice.
I wanted that to jump out to me, because it was my opinion, if a player was going to Ole Miss, if a player was going to Miami or any of these big schools, they should be absolutely the best player on the field in high school. So if that player didn't pop out in a high school game, all of a sudden I knew there's like, okay, I don't necessarily have to worry about this. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I looked at Ayden's huddle highlights, which I recommend everybody watch these highlights.
Yeah, everyone in your audience, absolutely, please.
Yeah, because there's just plays, and it almost turned into Bo Jackson versus Tecmo Bowl in some of those things, to where it's like, okay, this is going to be a 7-yard slant, boom, 80-yard touchdown. And it's really phenomenal, especially in a high school that didn't exist whenever I was in high school in Mississippi, in Ridgeland High School.
Yeah, just dominant stuff. Again, I think that's where his run after the catch and physicality shows up a whole lot more. And then you pair that with the kind of energy he brings. I think he's kind of an energy booster to an entire offense. And then that's how his personality is too, just getting to know him. He reflects that, always has a smile on his face, always willing to compete despite that as well. So a kid who's not going to shy away from any sort of competition. So a guy you want in your locker room and a guy who could be your Kickstarter. I think there's a lot to like about Ayden Williams. Again, his frame right now, like you said, creates dominance on Friday nights. Guys can't get him to the ground at 6'2", 185. So as he pushes towards maybe 6'3", 200 pounds, by the time he sees the field in Oxford, all of those strengths will only become enhanced. And I think, again, that's why he brings so much value as a traditional wide receiver one, a traditional split end who you can really build an entire game plan around down the line, even at a school like Ole Miss, where there's always going to be great skill position talent. And look, it's a big need for the Rebels, right? I mean, I think that's another factor here. This is a huge need for Ole Miss in this recruiting class. A lot of experience at the wide receiver position. They brought in multiple guys in the portal for a reason there. And obviously, because of that, you don't expect those guys to stick around very long thereafter. So there's going to need to be an influx of skill position talent, particularly at wide receiver. And this is a heck of a way to kick that off.
Yes. Before we let you go, real quick, you mentioned his personality earlier. Is he the type of person that makes others around him better?
He is, because he brings that balance of, I'm a high energy, positive type of guy with this competitiveness that, hey, once we're on the field and in between the lines, something switches. And now I want to be an aggressor and a dominant player, an alpha type of player on top of that. So really, in any of those two categories, you can elevate someone else, whether it's physically to your level of competition, or to keep things positive when, hey, maybe we're down 10 points, we're in the huddle, and we need to get a drive going. Now his energy, his positivity, his motor, even before you get to the line of scrimmage, can start to lift you up a little bit. So yeah, I think he's an extremely positive locker room person, and then obviously on the field he can back it up with his absolute alpha style and mentality at wide receiver, which is a huge deal on either front.
All right, John Garcia, brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs, stopping by. Thanks, John, for coming by, and we look to hear from you soon.
Sounds good, Steven. Thanks for having me.
All right.